Hey everybody, got a little shorter video for you for the weekend here, and I thought I would show you how and why you calibrate a dyno. So, multifold thing. I'll show you how we're going to calibrate this first, but the reason I'm calibrating it is because I had a problem with all of a sudden my data was just dead inconsistent. I mean, like 300-400 horsepower different, pull to pull. Wasn't doing that, obviously. It was just all over the place. And what it ended up being was it was a load cell. Let me show you real quick out here. So these are load cells / strain gauges. Now these are 3,000 foot-pound load cells. Both of those are. And so what I did is obviously I just had to put a new strain gauge on it. So that fixed that main problem. But my secondary problem is I have these D-pack load controls. Let me show you real quick. So the D-pack load controls are right here. So D-pack load controls. This is what controls the dyno. That acquisition is different. Then the other dyno, number 1 dyno, also has D-pack load control. All right, so this is on number 1 dyno. Problem with the D-pack load controls is that they work pretty darn good. Problem is the guy died that made these, and his company died also. There is no more. So I have these obsolete units, and I occasionally have had a problem, a little wiring or a little some little thing in there that causes an issue, and there is no help. There's nothing available for it any longer. So I thought, you know what? While I just doing this, I think I'm going to work on a different load control. That's what we're working on. I'm going to do a totally separate video on that. So that's just giving you a little bit of rundown on what I'm doing. I changed my load control. I am changing and looking at a different data acquisition system. And so I had to recalibrate. So how do you recalibrate and how does this work? So this dyno, this is the strain gauge. The engine applies torque to the dyno and tries to twist this and pull this apart. So yeah, those are 3,000 foot-pound load cells, okay, for the big engine stuff. And this is a 1,000 foot-pound load cell that I'm going to use for small engines now instead of using the larger load cells on everything. Resolution is better on them. So anyways, believe it or not, all the horsepower and torque of this engine, of any engine, 3,000 foot-pounds, so that makes 4,000 plus horsepower, is all held by a 1/2-inch bolt. Dead serious. So, but if you know what the tension, the pull strength is on a 1/2-inch bolt, it's a lot. I guarantee you it's a whole lot more than 3,000 foot-pounds. So anyways, how we do this is, so this measures it over. If I could stand on this or could do something, if I put 100 pounds here, that would be 100 foot-pounds of torque, and that's how you calibrate it. So what we do is we build a longer arm that moves weight out 5 foot. So 5 foot from the center of this pole to the center of the absorber makes 5 times whatever the weight is out here. All right, so 5 times whatever I got out here is being applied to this load cell. So right now we're at 500, this is 100 pounds, 5 foot out. That's 500 foot-pounds of torque on the dyno right now. So I can use that as my base calibration for dynoing. So then, so that's one part of it. But I'm going to be 100% honest here. If I don't come in here and recalibrate every single time. Don't really care. I'll tell you why. Because I always am more than happy if somebody ever brings in an engine. I always tell them if it's running and they want to make something better, I always dyno it first on my dyno, and we use that as the baseline. And then we re-dyno after I make any changes or improvements, because then we see what the true difference is. Everybody's dyno is different. They all are going to calibrate just a little bit differently, even though you think that they don't. It's just not the way it works in the real world. So The other way that I verify where my dyno is at is that I have this old trusty Dyno mule. This engine actually belongs to Pro Systems Carburetors. Patrick over at Pro Systems. This is his dyno mule that we know exactly what we probably have. Well, we've rebuilt it now here probably 200 dyno pulls ago. But this engine makes, with this carburetor, with Patrick's base carburetor, this engine makes 740 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. And it will make within 1% of that every single pull. It just does. This is just a old carburetor. It is the perfect dyno mule. It always makes the same horsepower. So I calibrate out here. I come back in. I run this engine. I make sure, yep, cool. It makes 740 horsepower or within 1% of there. I'm running a bunch of pulls on it. Make sure it's consistent. Make sure everything is right, which it is right now. Then everything's cool. So we calibrate with weights. Then I come in. I put my dyno mule on and verify that no matter what, this engine always makes the same horsepower within 1%. It's amazing. We've been running this engine literally for 12 years, believe it or not. If we would take it off the shelf, put it on, run it, yep. Run it with baseline, yep. Patrick puts a different carburetor on it, does some changes. Okay, it does this, does that. Okay, sweet, awesome. He leaves. We put the engine back up on the shelf. So this thing always makes the exact same horsepower. So it's a very, very good dyno mule. So anyways, just wanted to show you all that. So that is how we that's how we calibrate dyno. I do have a whole bunch of stuff that, I changed this whole load control system. That I put on, I did a separate video for all the channel members of how this all really works. And you can see up here everything that's all involved in this and even more detail of how and what's going on with the actual dyno. But I wanted to show everybody how we calibrate, and then we have the Calibrate engine, 540 cubic inch, 13-to-1, just your old school, like I said, 15. I bet you it's almost 20 years old now, all things said and done. Dyno mule that we just use for calibration. So this thing is always exactly the same, 740. So always make sure the dyno makes 740 with this motor on it at 7,000 RPM, and which it does now. So anyways, that's how we make this stuff happen. Remember, we do this because everybody's dyno is going to be different. I don't care. It just is. So what? Different in Colorado, different here. It doesn't matter. What we're always looking for is the increase, the difference of what we do, what we change. Everything's proven out on the track, and we prove that stuff out on the track too. So I'm Steve Morris. Like, subscribe, and share as much as you can. I appreciate it.